The theme of my talk, sustainable development through the adoption of indigenous ICT solutions in the public sector, is exciting because of two things. Firstly, research has shown that no nation can attain sustainable development without self-sufficiency. And secondly, targeting public sector means taking the ICT solution to a non-consumer sector. Because when you talk about public sector, it is not only about the federal government agencies, it means including the local governments. And we all know that even in the federal government, few MDAs use ERP today. And the thing also reminded me a story I read about a country whereby less than 10% of the population had access to electricity. More than 80% live in an urban area. More than 50% spend more than 60% of their earning on food. And life expectancy was less than 45 years. Who can guess which country is that? Any guess? Nigeria, United States, which country again? So, who says Nigeria? Can you raise your hand? One person, only 1, 2, 3, 4. And who says United States? 1, 2. So it was the United States of America, 100 years ago. The story is written in a book called The Prosperity Paradox: How Nations Get Out of Poverty, or How Innovation Lifts Nations Out of Poverty. The book was written as a result of a research done by professor of Harvard Business School, Clinton Christensen, and co-authored by a Nigerian, Efoso Ojomo. In the book, he described what helped lift countries out of poverty and create a sustainable development is through market-creating innovation. And you can only achieve that through indigenous content, local content, because nobody will come from heaven to solve your problem. People within the country need to solve that problem. So that time, two people helped the United States of America to get out of that mess. That was Isaac Singer and Henry Ford. They achieved that through democratizing access to motor vehicle and also democratizing access to clothes. Because at that time, it took more than 72 hours to make a jacket, and few people have access to multiple clothes. And having a car was like having a private jet then. But by democratizing access to these two things, they created prosperity for the United States of America. By democratizing access to cars, they started having filling stations, started constructing roads, started doing a lot of things, and making urbanizing cities. So this is not only unique to the United States of America, it happens in other parts of the world, in the Asian countries, in the Middle East, and even in the Africa. In early 2000, when Mo Ibrahim wanted to invest in telecommunication in Africa, nobody was willing to give him funds. No bank in the world wanted to fund that project because they see Africa, nobody can afford to buy a cell phone because people were struggling to eat. Why will they use the little resources they have to buy a luxurious toy for rich people? Because at that time, it was said that there were more landline in Manhattan than the whole Africa. But Mo Ibrahim came and he established Celtel and started deploying cell towers in remote areas. And his thinking was, we have people living far away from their loved ones, parents, and so on. And it costs a lot of money. If you want to talk to your parent, you have to travel for hours, spend money. What if there is a cell tower close to your parent? It's cheaper for you to buy a cell phone for them and call them every day than travel to see them. When he started, there were no roads, no electricity. He had to construct roads, use solar energy and generator to power his cell towers. That's how he started. And within 5 years, he was able to expand that business to about 7 countries. And he sold out the company at more than $4.4 billion US. So today, what is the most consumed services in Nigeria? What do we consume more? Software, telecoms. Any guess? What do we consume more between food and IT? Sorry? So I think there was a research saying that an average Nigerian, he can spend his last kobo to buy airtime than to eat. So looking at this, without self-sufficiency, can we achieve sustainable development in the IT? And if you look at it, the airtime we buy mostly is not to make call, but to consume digital services. So for us to achieve that self-sustainability, we need to start developing what we consume. So, looking at that, we have the problems, and the solution is to develop ourselves. GMD has presented what they are doing at the Fintrak and the industry at large. DG Notab has shared with us that more than 7 to 80% of the technology we import are software-based technology. And also, if you look at hardware and software, Nigeria will have more competitive advantage to grow in the software sector than in the hardware. Why? Because the hardware, you need infrastructure, you need investment to start. But the software, we only need talent. And we have the talent. So what is stopping us from being self-sufficient, achieving self-sufficiency in software? I think to achieve that, it's not something we can do in silos. The government needs to work with the private sector. And as a government, our major role to play is to enable the environment in terms of policies and maybe infrastructure in unserved and underserved communities. Because I don't encourage government heavily investing in infrastructure and business because it is not sustainable. If you want to succeed, use a pull strategy, not a push strategy. A push strategy is a situation whereby government will pump money, intervention into a sector. And for me, that is not the best approach. Most time, when you pump, it will end up in a wrong hands, and you won't see the impact. So why not create the enabling environments? Let the innovators innovate and create and pull the investment. Because if you can innovate, the investment will flow naturally. There are many people want to invest, but looking for promising ideas. So if you can be able to pitch, you will get the investment. So the government is doing a lot in terms of policy, starting with the foundational policy, the National Digital Economy Policy for Digital Nigeria, which was launched on the 28th November 2019 by President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. The policy has created the foundation for digital economy, for digitizing Nigeria. And it has 8 pillars. Firstly, developmental regulation. Why do we start with developmental regulation? Because ICT is about co-creating the regulation. Because when you just say regulation, mostly we put regulation to regulate industry. But you can only regulate what you know. In the case of ICT, it's evolving, it's a new thing. So the best way is to co-create the regulation, to work with the industry to co-create the regulation. Because we regulate to safeguard you as a providers and your consumers as well, so that we will create the trust between the providers and the consumers. Because lack of trust, that is what is hurting the industry. Most of corporate organizations and government agencies prefer to buy off-the-shelf solution because they don't trust the local industry. Some had bad experiences whereby they were held at ransom, or they gave a startup business and the startup got something outside the country and started and decided to pack up and leave the country. So we can only safeguard this through regulation. So how can we achieve that? We have different initiatives we are working to achieve that, which we also need you on board to help us achieve that. We are working on coming up with a licensing regime for providers of government services, because the government has an ambitious target to achieve paperless government by 2030. by digitizing all government services. The government developed the e-government master plan. We have the Nigerian government enterprise architecture, and we have the interoperability framework. For you to successfully deploy a service within government, you need to understand these frameworks, because MDAs engage you as a consultant to design the services. If you don't understand the e-government master plan or the enterprise architecture, it will be difficult for you to design a service that will plug into the government digital architecture. So part of it is we want you to come and tell us your expertise. You are expert in ERP. Okay, this is the government global aspiration when it comes to digitization. Go and study it, and anywhere you are deploying your service, make sure it is in line with this global architecture. Then you are expert in cybersecurity. This is the government's aspiration as far as digitizing government services. So understand it and deploy your services to help government achieve this. So this is the only way can help government to achieve that integrated government services. But deploying services in silos will not help government achieve that. And also the government is looking at it this way. No two organizations are the same. Every organization is unique. That's why it is difficult to get off-the-shelf services work in our country, because most of these off-the-shelf services, ERPs and so on, are developed for maybe somewhere for a country or an organization. Then when we look at digital transformation, it is not just about technology. Technology is the least thing you need. Firstly is the process. It is about the business. What do you want to achieve? Then have your process clearly defined. Then the people need to understand the process and embrace the technology before the technology works. So if technology is developed for maybe a country somewhere in the world based on the processes and the people mindset, there is no way that technology can work in Nigeria. That's why you will see organizations spending a lot of money to buy off-the-shelf technology and spending almost double of what they spend to buy the license to customize it. And whenever there is upgrade or new version, you have to be customized. A lot of money. And in a digital age, your company or your organization is as good as it is next product. And the next product is as good as the people that make the next product, which is mostly digital offerings. So if you have to wait for someone from somewhere to come and change your customization, you will be left behind. So the best solution is to build in-house capacity in your organization and work with indigenous company to develop your services based on your needs. And also the government came up with the Nigerian Startup Bill also to protect you and encourage the smaller ones to grow as well. Because many times you see the procurement requirements is too difficult for startups to meet. Therefore, the government came up with the Nigerian Startup Bill to help have a bimodal process
for government to engage startups and buy the products. The bill has been passed by the National Assembly, waiting for President to accent it any moment. And the government also is doing a lot in terms of building the digital literacy for Nigerians. We have an ambitious target under the Nigerian National Digital Economy Policy to achieve 95% digital literacy by 2030. Why are we doing that? We are doing that so that the people will know and embrace the technology, and it will make the drawbacks of the technology less disturbance, because sometimes people see going online is not safe because they don't know what it means to be online. They don't know the benefit of going digital. That's why we are doing the training all Nigerians, as well as training people that will build the digital services in country. We have started an initiative to train 1 million developers in the next 18 months. We have started in collaboration with many organizations, both local and multinational organizations, and based on what you are doing at Fintrak, there are opportunities for you also to key in. We have other initiatives like tie schemes under NITDA, which we place startups in established IT hubs. And our goal is to get those startups finish the program with a ready-to-market product. And under the National Digital Economy Policy also, promoting indigenous content is a key pillar. That's why under the NITDA IT clearance, we always make sure at least 40% of any government investment is through indigenous or local content, both hardware and software. But one of the major challenges we are having, which we need to work with the industry, is to know who are the players and what capacity do we have in country. We don't have the data readily available, too much data and information out there, like the GMB shared with us. Annually, we imported software worth $2 billion. We have other reports by Fitch Solution where they cited about $1 billion and saying the Nigerian software market is about $6 to $7 billion. So we still need to do more to know the exact figures, and also we need to work more with NOTAPs to know how much exactly we are spending in importing and what is the market share. That's what will help us to know how much we spend in country. And also the target should not be only to public sector, because looking at the Nigerian GDP, government spending is less than 10%. So the money is in the private sector. So we should develop for all Nigerians, not for only public sectors, because when you talk about digital economy, it's about digitizing everything, not only government services. Therefore, government is ready to work with you to know what you need government to do to level the playing field for you. And also, to achieve that, as a government, we don't want to come out and say we adopt or we endorse a particular company to avoid dominance. What we want is to create a playing field for all to thrive. And it's only through competition you can get the best as well as the best price. But when government just adopts one solution, that's not going to be good for the market. Even globally, there is this push for break Facebook, break big tech, because the dominance is too much. So we want to create a competitive environment. We can achieve that through enabling policies and through competitive bidding. You are free to go and do a proof of concept with your products anywhere in the government MDAs, and also convince them to buy from you. Like Mr. Kem said that at NITDA, we have achieved 100% paperless. Today at NITDA, everything is electronic, and we want other government agencies also to do the same. The government has set target to achieve that in the next 8 years. So there is opportunity for you to take your products and services to various NDAs, demonstrate to them and prove to them. It will help them to become more efficient, increase transparency, and increase data-driven decision making. Because it's only through ERP you can achieve this. Today at NITDA, no file spent more than 24 hours at my desk, and I work from anywhere in the world. So if all MDAs can achieve this will make the government more efficient and more productive. And even cost-wise, it's cheaper to digitize services than to do it manually. So I hear your prayers, GMD. Firstly, on the GIFMIS, IPPIS, and TSA. I think it's a welcome idea. I will discuss with the committee, and we will invite you to come and share with us what do you have to offer. I'm not saying we will replace them with Fintrak solution, but we will listen to you, because I know some of them also were developed by an indigenous company. We want to review them from the solution architecture, the process, the technology itself, the access control, the security, everything. So we are reviewing the products end to end. And we need experts like you to come and advise the government on the best way. Then on the second prayers on getting the ministry and NDAs under the ministry to adopt your ERP solution also is a welcome idea. Our doors are open. You can walk to any MDAs under the ministry, and the ministry as well to come and demo what you have and how you intend to collaborate with us to digitize our services. Then lastly, on the government-wide also, we have an initiative working with head of service to deploy ERP, EDMS, and ECM across the service-wide. We have done a pilot with the head of service which was launched 2 months ago. And the head of service has directed all MDAs also to come up with a plan of implementing those services. So the government has given the directive and created the enabling environment for Fintrak and all other players to participate. For NITDA, we will make sure if we have capacity in country, we will make sure government's investment in ICT is 100% in country. So we also want you to help us achieve this by bringing the players together. Let us know what can you do, what capacity do you have in country. Like DG Notab said, he visited a company in Lagos. They shared their success story with an app for the disco, and Notab is enforcing now, no disco should buy similar solution. So government can only enforce if it knows what you have. And the only way we can know that is through working with NITDA and Notab. If we can have a repository of products and services we have or capacity we have in country, there is no way government will allow anybody to import any software from outside the country. This will help us in job creation and reduce the capital flight. So government is ready to work with you on all this. That's why we established the Office of the Nigerian Digital Innovation with a mandate to know and keep the database of our in-country capacity. So I will direct the NC to work with the industry and in collaboration with the NOTAB to build this database so that it will make it easier for NITDA when it comes to IT clearance to know what we should clear for importation and what we should ensure is done locally. So with this, I believe Nigeria, we can achieve sustainable development through adoption of indigenous ICT. Because today ICT is the products or the services we consume the most in the country. So if we can be able to achieve self-sufficiency in it, it will help us create more prosperity for our country and also be a hub for software development in Africa and the world at large. We have the competitive advantage to achieve that because we have the youngest population in the world and we have the talent, and there is global talent gap today. Nigeria can position itself to close that talent gap and also make our country a software powerhouse or global superpower. I believe together we can achieve this. There are things as an industry you can do, government cannot do, and there are things government can do, you cannot do. But together, nothing is impossible.
Thank you.